What's going on, guys? This is Dr. Justin Cronut bringing you another episode of of Proof Mode Health and the truth about health. I used to do a podcast called The Truth About Health, and so that I don't know, it sticks, I guess. You guys, I want to just say that you're going to see me hot and heavy. I'm actually in a podcasting crew. A group of us are challenging each other to do a podcast a day. And so I'll be doing a podcast a day. Now, it is close to my bedtime, you guys. Let's go off on a rant to begin with. So I got so much content up in my head that, I really don't have to prepare anything usually. Most things I'm already caught up on. So I'm going to start the rant. Now, for those of you who know, I am a pharmacist. Now, I have a specialty in pharmacy, something I'm called a nuclear pharmacist. Now, when I teach and train people on what nuclear pharmacy is, one of the first questions I get asked is, um, what's the difference between a nuclear pharmacist and a nuclear pharmacist? And I say, okay, that's a fair question. What's the difference between a nuclear bomb and a nuclear bomb? Which one is worse? And I sit there and I pause and I wait. And most people come back and they say, wow, I would say a nuclear bomb is more explosive than a nuclear bomb. And some people say a nuclear bomb is more explosive than a nuclear bomb. Now, all this to get around to say there is no such word in the English vernacular as nuclear. Okay, there's no such word. It's nuclear pharmacy, nuclear bomb, nuclear fission, nuclear. It's a nuclear, guys. And so my rant to begin with is let's clean up our language, right? There are again, I'm not the grammar police. I'm not, I like to speak good English, right? So, nuclear. So that's my rant of the day. Now, on to Proof Mode Health. So, as a nuclear pharmacist, I work at 2 in the morning. So I go to work at 2 a.m. So if I go to work at 2 a.m., you start adding the math up. I have to go to bed by about 5:30 a.m. so that I can wake up, get ready, get to work by about 2 a.m. Right, wake up about 1:30. So, you guys, it is pushing my bedtime, and I couldn't let this episode go. So I'm going to slap it out there, knock this out of the park, give you guys one of the best 10-minute how to think like a pharmacist. I'm going to teach you how to vet supplements like a nuclear pharmacist, or like me. I don't know, like a holistic pharmacist. I would rather be called a holistic pharmacist than a nuclear pharmacist. Okay, so I am going to transfer here to the screen. Let's see if I can do this time. Let's see, face, screen. All right. Okay, so you guys, here on my screen is one of my favorite websites in the world. Now, there's a lot of pop-ups that pop up. Nourish Yourself, The Science of Natural Healing. Okay, support them if you can. Donate. This site is absolutely free. It's called greenmedinfo.com. 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 Now, greenmedinfo.com was created by a gentleman named Sayer G. Now, Sayer G has as far as I know, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, Sayer G, I had him on my podcast once upon a time. I was in some forums that he was a part of. I met this gentleman, one of the most giving gentlemen on the planet. He really has no medical degree, if I remember right. Now, definitely doesn't have any degree with relation to health, okay? But he was so frustrated at the industry of health. So in the health industry, when we go to our doctors and we say, okay, doc, I want a more holistic approach to my well-being. Okay, so you go in, you get your blood work done, and your cholesterol numbers are a little bit high. And you say, Doc, I don't want to get on that cholesterol medication. I've read bad things. I've heard bad things. I'd like to give myself a natural shot. What should I do? Now, to be honest, every doctor, doctor of pharmacy, doctor of chiropractor, doctor of physical therapy, doctor of dentistry even, is taught what's called a TLC. We are all taught TLC, therapeutic lifestyle changes. Now, therapeutic lifestyle changes entail weight management, sleep management, stress management, nutrition management, all the kinds of pain management, right? Managing the body and making sure that all those are in check before we decide to go to medicine. Okay. Now, medicine was initially designed, and it's taught in medical school, that we should get somebody on meds right away. Okay, so for example, you go to the doctor, you get your blood work done, you have an A1C that's over 10, your blood sugar's off the charts, you're basically a diabetic, a type 2 diabetic, okay? Or even a type 1 diabetic, whatever. Now, let's go type 2 diabetic in this situation, okay? So you're a full-blown type 2 diabetic. Instead of taking the time to get our blood sugar back in check, the doctor's going to put you on meds immediately, urgently, now. And then he should every doctor, doctorate level medical, should teach you therapeutic lifestyle changes, stress management, sleep management, weight management, nutrition management, pain management. Like, why is your blood sugar going out of sorts? Now, it can be because your diet sucks and you just don't know diet. Okay, let's teach you. Now, they don't have time to teach you. Okay, so in the state of Nevada that I live in, at least in the past, say, 6 years, now it could have changed since then, doctors can only bill for 7 minutes of your time. Meaning that if you come in, they can only bill for 7 minutes of your time. Now, if you're sitting in their office asking them questions for up to an hour, they can only bill for 7 minutes. So their goal is to get you in and get you out, okay? So this is what will happen. They'll walk in, they'll put their hand on the door, they'll take the doorknob, they'll open and they'll say, "Hey, Mr. Justin, how are you today?" "Great." "Oh, doing good." "That's great. Our medication's still working great." "Awesome. We'll just button those up, send those to the pharmacy." "CVS, right?" "Oh, no. Costco." "No problem. We'll send them over to Costco. And see you later." And they'll shut the door behind them. They don't even let their hand off the door. That sucks. So what they do is they can only bill for 7 minutes. So what they do is they double book people every 7 minutes. So the doctor is trying to get to each person in 3.5 minutes, 3.5 minutes, 3.5 minutes, 3.5 minutes, because there will be that one patient eventually that day that will need questions, need attention, need answering. And so they need to be far ahead so that they can account for the billing. Okay. They don't make money on the medicine they prescribe. Honestly, they don't. So they don't have time to teach you therapeutic lifestyle changes. They don't have time to teach you diet, nutrition, exercise. So they may hire a good doctor will probably hire a dietitian or a nutritionist. A nutritionist is better, by the way. Dietitian is Western medicine allopathic trained, and they typically suck. They believe that carbohydrates are still good. The food pyramid is still that old food pyramid, not the better one now, I guess, that RFK released. Anyways, so if they have a dietitian or a nutritionist, they'll pan you off and say, "Okay, here, talk to my nutritionist." Now, they can run you through, diabetes programs. They can bill insurance for that. But again, they have to have these structured programs. Okay. So when I opened up my wellness center in 2016, I went to every doctor in the town I lived in. I said, "Hey, doc, when you get that patient that walks in the door and says, 'I want a more natural approach,' what do you think? Do you love them, or do you kind of cringe and you hate them?" And they cringe and they go, "Oh, I hate those people. They're wackadoos. They're quack jobs. They're nuts and seeds eaters. They're tree huggers. I've heard all sorts of things." And so what happens is, oh, apologize. Um, and so what happens is I went to them and I said, "Why don't you, when they walk in and they say, 'I want a more natural approach,' and why don't you just wipe your hands clean and send them to me, the holistic pharmacist? You send them my way. I'll teach them diet, nutrition, exercise. I'll teach them pain management, sleep management, weight management. I'll teach them all sorts of things. You don't have to, but I'll send them back every 6 months to a year to get their blood work rechecked so that you can make sure they're doing good." Cool, cool. So eventually the doctors caught on. Somebody would walk in, they'd say, "Hey, I want a more natural approach." They'd go, "Ah, man, you know what? Wait, I'll send you to Dr. Justin. Dr. Justin will take care of you." And they would pan them off on me and I would help them. So people would come into me and they would say, "Justin, what do I do for cholesterol? What do I do for diabetes? What do I do for weight management, sleep management, stress management? What do I do for MS, Alzheimer's, cancer? What do I do for all sorts of things?" Okay. And I was slamming, jamming all day long. So my question is, and again, I would send them back to their doctor, and their numbers were getting better and better. It took about 2.5 years for the doctors to all start trickling back into my facility saying, "What are you doing? Let me see what you're doing. This is incredible. You're changing my people's lives. They're getting better without medicine. I never knew it was possible." Okay, cool. So they would come to me, they'd ask me, "And what does your doctor want to see?" If you walked into your doctor and you said, "Hey, doc, I'm not taking that cholesterol junk you gave me. I'm not. What what do you think? And they'll go, well, what are you taking? You'll say, well, I'm taking omega-3 fatty acids, and I'm taking, berberine, and I'm taking CoQ10, and I'm taking magnesium. And the doctor will go, like, where's the studies done? Okay. Now they'll ask for studies, and they'll say, and you'll say, oh, yeah, well, let me go back to my holistic pharmacist and ask him. And so if I gave you crappy studies like peer-reviewed research where, a statistical study where somebody walked around and asked people on the street, hey, how are you doing? How are you doing? What are you doing for cholesterol? What did your grandma do? What did you do? What did your mom do? Right. And then they wrote a report, and then I gave that to you and you took that to your doctor. They'd think it's the biggest crappy report in the world. So they want to see double-blind, placebo-controlled studies. They want to see tight, lots of people, lots of population, men and women, all ages, all races, all data points, okay? Just like medicine would, okay? And so I do the vetting so that you don't. Now, I don't have time to vet all sorts of resources. Therefore, let's go back to this, greenmedinfo.com. Now, greenmedinfo, there's a top bar up here and there's a lower bar. I'm going to start with the top bar. I think that's the one I get best. So let's go with I'll give you an example here. So diabetes. Okay. So let's type in diabetes. Okay. Diabetes if you're from the South. Okay. Diabetes. Now you don't want to type the whole word in. So I just typed in DIABE, something like that. And it's going to give you all these suggestions. You want to pick one. So I'm going to pick type 2 diabetes. Now there's type 2 diabetes prevention, there's type 2, type 1 prevention, type 1, diabetes autoimmunity, diabetes cataract, diabetes cancer risk, sorts of things. Like maybe you want to look at, just diabetes in general. So I'm going to pick diabetes type 2 because this is assuming that somebody came in and wants to see that. Cool. So I'm going to click diabetes type 2. You click it and it takes a minute to load. This is actually a very big website, hasn't probably been enhanced. But what you're going to look for is there's 3 sections here. If you can see my mouse, okay, there's 3 sections. Now on a cell phone, you're going to see each one of these sections in line. So there's going to be this section all the way to the bottom, and I'll scroll here and I'll show you. Okay, it'll be all the way to the bottom, and then it'll be this section all the way to the bottom, and then it'll be this section all the way to the bottom. Okay, but I'm going to break it down here so on a cell phone you know what's going on. So on this left-hand side, what we're going to do is scroll all the way to the bottom of this left-hand side and look for an overall research rating. Now, if you can see it right here, we're looking for good, great, or excellent. Good, great, or excellent. Now, this one says excellent because diabetes has lots and lots of research, okay? So this one's excellent. So we're going to scroll back up. Now, you don't want to scroll in the window because if you're in the window, it's just going to, if you're in this window, it's going to just scroll in that window. So like scroll outside. Okay, cool. So we're going to go all the way to the top of this window. Now, when I first started with this website, it said, so this, for example, says 617 substances research for diabetes mellitus type 2. Okay. Now, it used to say 617 therapeutic substances research for diabetes type 2, but they kind of got thrown under the ringer and taken to the shed and said, you can't say therapeutic. It connotates or it indicates that it is a therapeutic and therefore can change the condition. And so they had to take it out. So how this is devised is therapeutic substances or research substances, good substances. Then if you scroll past that, it's 66 problem substances, so bad substances. Then if you scroll past that, it'll say 58 therapeutic actions. Now they can say therapeutic actions because actions aren't taking a pill. And then you keep scrolling and it goes 10 problematic actions. So it goes good substance, bad substance, good action, bad action. So let's start at the top. Now, if you look here, the number one thing you can do for diabetes type 2 with the most research backing it is and again, it's top down. Okay, so if you scroll all the way to the top of this field, it'll say AC. Now, if you hover over AC, it'll pop up. It says abstract count. And CK stands for cumulative knowledge. Now, you can read through that, but cumulative knowledge is determined by subscribing a number value. So if it's a double-blind placebo-controlled study, it's weighted higher. If it's a cockroach study, it's weighted lower. If it's a human study, it's weighted way higher. So they give it ratings based on how close and how good of a study it is. So you want this number to be high. Now, if you paid for the subscription, so you can create a membership up top. Now, the membership doesn't get you that much extra stuff, so don't do it. But if you have money and you want to support this, it's only a few bucks a month, and it's absolutely, it's so cool. You can do research. If you're a researcher, oh my gosh, you should do it. Anyways, focus doesn't really matter. It's locked. It comes with the membership. Say, so number one, so you want the highest AC, and the CK can, whatever, whatever. But these are what you would submit to your doctor. So if you wanted to see all 536 of these studies, put them on a thumb drive, take them to your doctor and say, hey, this is the reason why I'm taking vitamin D, and it's my number one choice for diabetes type 2. And the doctor can't fight that. Doctor's like, what? And you're going to say, okay. Anyways, okay, so vitamin D is the number one substance. Now, I'm going to say therapeutic substance here, but, good substance that you can take has a CK of 61. Now, I'm going to tell you some of the truths here. If this has an AC of over 20, I can almost guarantee proof through the science that's given through as many studies as are there. It could be true studies, for crying out loud. But if it has an AC of over 20, I can prove it without a shadow of a doubt. Now, prove it without looking like a dummy. Okay. Now, it could always be proven wrong. Okay. But I would defend it and fight it for you or for anybody. Now, if it's a 10 to a 20, it means that it's trending higher. So if it was an AC of 10 or 12 or 15, and it only had a CK of 1, meaning there was one study and it showed it at 10 to 15, means that's a pretty darn good study that somebody else needs to do research on it to prove it further. Okay. But what you want, a lot of studies, and you want a high number. So look at all of these numbers over 20. Now, they used to be in order. Holy moly, this site. Hold on. Let's see if we can. These used to be in order. So it'd be 61, 68. Now they're kind of out of order, which is crazy. You could just look at it from top down. Now, it does look like it descends and gets lower and lower and lower, but it used to be, the highest was 60. Now, I can promise you the vitamin D is going to be up there. Second one, let's see if we can scroll down here. 68, curcumin. Okay, curcumin for diabetes. Now, we could click the studies and look at all those studies. And now those are the studies that I would look at as a pharmacist, peer-reviewed, lots of details. Okay, now, if we were to break this, again, good substances, bad substances, good actions, bad actions. Okay, now this middle section are the peer-reviewed research. Now, these are studies, PubMed studies, Med Research, Medline. Okay, these are daily higher T consumption is associated with a reduced risk of type 2 diabetes. A higher intake of UPF was significantly associated with an increased risk of type 2 diabetes mellitus. Very gritty, lots of scientific medical terminology. Okay, these are for not the faint of heart. This is the studies that they put in the CK. Now, skip that unless you want to give those to your doctor. But the right-hand side is what medical bloggers do. They take the middle section and they write articles based on the data and the research. So if as a pharmacist, when I used to work for one of the big box chain pharmacies, and somebody come in and say, hey, I really want to take vitamin D, and my doctor thinks it's stupid, and I really kind of want to, calm his nerves, I might find a blog here on the right-hand side that kind of dumbed it down and made it very simple. So check this out. So on the right-hand side, please stay away from these drugs for type 2 diabetes. Now, I apologize. Let's back up just a titch. With anything in life, now I'm going to say left and right. Now, you could look at politics here. You could look at whatever. Okay, but I'm going to talk about the medical world. Okay, the healing world. Okay, you've got the far right, that is always green, always trees, always herbs, always essential oils, always, never vaccines, never doctors, always cough syrups and drink, hydrate, crap like that, right? Then you get the far left, okay? And the far left is like always doctors, always vaccines, never herbals, don't drink waters. I don't know. I mean, I don't know who says don't drink water, but you know what I mean? Like never, it's always, it's the extremes. It's either all this way or all this way. Okay. Now, we know that the truth is somewhere in the middle. It's not always green things, and it's not always the doctor. Okay. Doctors only know what they know. Science only goes as far as we've discovered. Okay. Straight up. There's political agendas. There's follow the money. Okay. These sorts of things. The truth is in the middle. Now, what's cool about me as a pharmacist is I am the far left. I have the medical degree, the doctorate degree. I know what medicine is. I know all the pathways. I know what the medical school teaches. I'm in the medical field. I hear what they're saying. I talk to doctors that think you're just a wackadoo if you think, herbals and things. Okay. But then I'm also on the far right where I'm like, hey, I own a wellness center. I love green things. I've seen things work that shouldn't work. I can explain it, but guess what? I've seen it work. Okay. So with me, you're kind of getting the blend of both worlds. Okay. So let's pan back to this. This website right here. Okay. This website right here tends to swing far green, far right. Okay. Tends to swing far right. So a lot of the bad substances. So let's just scroll down. Good substances. Let's go to bads. Okay, let's look at good substances real quick. Vitamin D, probiotics, curcumin, magnesium, vitamin C, fenugreek, berberine, Nigella sativa, black cumin seed, black seed. Oh my gosh, I should do a whole podcast on that. Melon, cinnamon, resveratrol, polyphenols, ginger, omega-3 fatty acids, alpha-lipoic acid. Now, I'm not saying you should take all of these. I think you should pick maybe the top 3. Look at which ones have the highest AC and go with those. Okay. Now, ginger's about the last one that has a 25. Now, there's a few others. Mulberry. I wouldn't take mulberry. But stick with the top 3. Okay. I would go with, let's see, berberine is way up there. Curcumin and vitamin D. I think that's a powerhouse. Now, if you're into blending herbals, blend that herbal, slap your name on it, and call it awesomeness for diabetes type 2. Now, don't make claims. If you need help, I'll help you. I'll even invest in you. Or you invest in me and let's do it together. Not soliciting money. I don't even care about money. Okay. But if you slap those 3 things on a label, labeled it somehow, blood sugar help, blood sugar aid, type 2 blood sugar aid. I don't know, something like that. Aid 2, aid mellitus 2. That sounds bad. No, anyways, then you can run to the market with certainty that you've got a good product. Now, if you're vetting products, somebody's hitting you online, doctor, anybody. Dr. Deepak Chopra has a type 2 diabetes. Dr. Oz is coming out with a type 2 diabetic, bubble. Does it work? And if he's got things like way down here, zinc, seaweed, almond, fine, yeah, they bit, right? Walnut, coffee, pomegranate, fine, maybe flavonoids, 44A, yeah, probably nettles, 17, saffron, 16, you see what I'm saying? So now bad substances. Now BPA is the number one thing, more than likely, is a problem substance for diabetes type 2. I agree with that. Plastics such as BPA, bisphenol A. Now, I should do a whole friggin' topic on that. Sugar-sweetened beverages is number 2. I wonder. That seems very legit and go yeah. Now, number 3 is statins. This is where you got to put your left-leaning, your medical hat on and go, people are put on statins when they get type 2 diabetes and have heart attacks. So if their blood sugar's high and they got blood sugar issues, the go-to medical standard is to put them on a statin. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying a lot of this research that he puts out is very lockstep with what the medical field would put you on. So it's kind of coincidental that anybody that has diabetes is also on a statin. Correlation does not equal causation. Okay, so that's the one thing you'd put your hat on. Okay, here's number 4, insulin. A lot of people with diabetes are on insulin. I don't think insulin causes. You see what I'm saying? Now it could be an insulin issue. Sure. Metformin. A lot of people are on that. See what I'm saying? So you got to kind of take it now. The next one down, artificial sweeteners. Now that's a number 7, AC of 7. It's trending. Boy, it's actually got over 90 studies. I'd say artificial sweeteners probably very lacking evidence that it causes type 2 diabetes. That's just me quickly without reading the research and doing a ton of digging. Okay, so let's scroll down. Okay, 58 therapeutic actions. So what are things that I can do, Justin? Just what are things that I can do as a type 2 diabetic that will help my blood sugar? Here you go. Photobiomodulation. So the second one down has the highest one I can see. Photobiomodulation. I think that's red light therapy, probably. I'd have to look into exactly what photobiomodulation is. That sounds like a cool word. Now, number 2 is a dietary modification. Now, not just any dietary modification, because a lot of people that become a type 2 diabetic, they say, I know I need a diet. Which diet? Okay, here's the answer. Low carbohydrate / ketogenic diet. That is the number one research with the 45 AC, 421 studies to get the blood sugar in check quick. Now, do I think you need to be on a ketogenic diet for the rest of your life? No, absolutely not. But is that a diet that is most proven to get you there? Absolutely. Now, third one says exercise. Oh, well, duh. Exercise is good for you. Huh. Dr. Justin, which form of exercise? So let's break down. Let's go a little lower. Yoga has a 28. Yoga's exercise. Yoga's a fantastic form. Tai Chi has a 9. Okay, trending maybe. But if you look right here, a 15, aerobic exercise. Okay, now that's aerobic exercise, not anaerobic. That's aerobic. So if you were to choose an exercise, that is things that make you breathe. So aerobic exercising, treadmill, what's the row, the elliptical, things like that. Now here's another one with the 16. If you didn't want to do the ketogenic, you're like, yeah, I just really don't like the ketogenic diet. I've read bad things. I've had people on it, whatever. Here's the next one with the 16, Mediterranean diet. Ooh, with anti-inflammatory diet, it's a 16. Even if it's not quite to a 20, a Mediterranean diet is way better than a high sugary non-diet. Okay. Now, next one down, fasting or caloric restriction. Do you think fasting would actually help? Oh my gosh, guys. Okay. So cool. So this is a quick way that you can go through it. Now, you could read this research, and then on the right-hand side, you could send these. Now, I'm going to teach you a trick on the right-hand side here. Oh my gosh, I didn't even notice this. You don't even have to scroll down anymore. The knowledge is right here on the right-hand side. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. The whole time I'm staring at myself, you guys. So I just literally went through this list on the left-hand side and talked about, some of the numbers here. So therapeutic actions, here's some of the exercises. You just start scrolling down, look at these numbers. Okay. You too, like this is where I go. So when I go here and I start telling you, hey, look, why don't you pull it up so I can show you what I'm doing so you can do it next time? So then you don't need, guys, I'm literally trying to teach myself out of a job. Now, what this 10-minute video is now going on 27 minutes, and I'm not even slowing down. This shows how excited I am about this stuff and like how cool it is. Okay, so if I were to go back to the screen here, okay, so if you were to click on one of these, now again, the reason I told you that this tends to swing far right is because this says, please stay away from these drugs from type 2 diabetes. Now, if I click it and I don't want to read it, I'm just saying lazy or busy. This is Dr. Michael Murray. Now, Dr. Michael Murray has lots and lots of articles. Okay, very go-to guy. Now, if you look on the right-hand side, this is going to give you all the keywords you need without reading it. Okay, it's going to talk about type 2 diabetes. Very cool. That's what we want. These are going to be the 3 drugs that it talks about right here: metformin, Avandia, and anti-diabetic drugs. So probably things like sulfonylureas and things like that. Now, you could read through it. Now, again, glyburide, glipizide, glimepiride, and they're going to talk about kind of new data, new research. Fine, cool. If you're into that, if you're into this, fine. If you want to get off of all meds, great. Here you go. And you can have assurance and peace and calm of heart because you're following something with tried and true evidence. Go talk to Dr. Michael Murray. Feel out. Maybe he wrote a book or an article that goes even deeper. Now, here's another. Why date sugar may be a game changer for diabetes, for diabetics. Okay. So if you want like an alternative, now the substances it's going to talk about. Okay, it's going to talk about fiber and dates. Ooh, those are actually 2 really good things for a diabetic. And here's the diseases it's going to talk about. Not only diabetes type 2, but inflammation, oxidative stress, and blood sugar problems. Oh my gosh, so cool. Okay, let's go back one more. Turmeric extract may prevent, even reverse diabetes type 1 and 2. Dun, dun, dun. Right now, if somebody came to me and said, I really want turmeric for diabetes, but my doctor won't listen to me, my family member won't listen to me, I'd send them this article. I'd say, go look at this and, have a conversation with them. This talks about turmeric and curcumin. This talks about highlight the whole thing. Diabetes type 1, type 2, prevention problems. It's going to talk about hypoglycemic agents, insulin. So you guys, this is the trickery. Sorry. This is the trickery on how not to read the whole article. You guys, as a pharmacist for a big bucks article store, I didn't have time to read all these, but people expect a pharmacist to have the answers quickly. Okay, now I'm going to tell you a secret of what I used to do. And if you used to come to the pharmacy that I worked at, or if you come to a pharmacy I work at this day and age, you guys, I'm a bit of a a schmuck. I'm a bit of a okay. So you come in and you're like, hey, Justin, now let's go through another one. Let's go through another one. Okay. You come in. Now, sometimes if you go back to the main page, sometimes it won't reset quite properly. So you have to kind of reload the screen. So we'll see. Let's go. Um, so you come in and you let's think about something a bit crazy. Okay, let's go with depression. Okay, depression. Obviously, it's a research thing, but okay, you type in depression, you see depression disease, depression keywords, depression bipolar. Um, let's go depression disease, right? I don't know, just overall depression. Okay. And I got this a lot. My daughter's depressed. She's 26 years old. She just had a kid. Now I could have gone with postpartum depression. That would have been actually really cool. Now they come in, they say, my daughter's thinking of taking, and they may give me a substance. They may say, Justin, my daughter came in, she's been reading articles and she really wants to take motherwort. Okay, she wants to take motherwort. Okay, she read an article. Motherwort really helps with depression, with postpartum depression. What do you think? And I would say, wow, yeah, I'm gonna have to do some digging. I worked at a big box store with a grocery store in it, so I said, why don't you go shopping for a few minutes? Let me look up this answer. I'd literally pull up this. Okay, I'd pull this up. Okay, I would literally type in depression. I'd try to get as close as I could. Now, you need to know the actual medical term, and I'll go through a few examples here. And so what I would do is I type in motherwort. Okay, she obviously read a study, so there's something somewhere. So I would type in Control F. Here, I'm gonna go big screen this, and I type in motherwort. Okay, well, AC of 2 and a CK of 12, meaning 12 studies have been done. I don't know the legitimacy of these studies. They could be all cockroach studies for crying out loud. But it gave it a rating of 2. Not very interesting. So what I would do, the first thing I would do is I would say, I'd write down, okay, motherwort, not very reliable, But I wouldn't just leave somebody with, I would suggest your daughter not take motherwort. Thank you. Have a good day. Bye. As a pharmacist, I felt schlubby doing that. So what I would do is I would go to the top and I would look at the most research stuff and I'd say, okay, number one up here. You guys are gonna love this. Number one is psilocybin. Now, psilocybin is shrooms, LSD. Now, I would not recommend psilocybin. Now, there's a lot of credible science and research coming out about depression and how psilocybin, LSD, shrooms can rewire the synapses on the brain. And it is really cool and very compelling. However, it's still not legal, right? Still not legal. So I can't really prescribe that. But number 2, right here, number 2 is saffron. Now, saffron has a rating of 39. Now, actually, these used to be an actual order. Maybe they're just updating the site. So I hope they redo this again. So 46, I would go with flavonoids. Now, if you don't know what flavonoids are, maybe you skip it. Maybe you do a little more research. What are flavonoids? Now, flavonoids just a quick rundown are coloring agents inside of food. So when somebody says eat the colors of the rainbow, eat fruits and vegetables that are colored, reds, blues, greens, purples, yellows, bananas, yellows, bananas not a color, orange. Eat anything that has a color in it, you're getting flavonoids. Now you can get nutraceuticals, nutritional products, supplements that are basically just flavonoid packed, like 2 capsules. I think Juice Plus has incredible flavonoids. Super cool, right? All of their stuff is just jam-packed fruits and vegetables. Okay, juicing would be flavonoids. So somebody who's depression maybe should juice. And we'll look at that in substances, okay? The next one up the list, I would say, is psychedelics. I'm not going to recommend that. The next one would be vitamin D. Oh, did you guys know that vitamin D is going to be in like 90% of the conditions that you look up? Yeah, interesting. And did you know there's a correlation with gallbladders being removed with the vitamin D deficiency? Weird. I could go into whole articles on the cake, but I'm not, because I'm supposed to be finishing this in 10 minutes or less, and I'm 34 minutes in. So I would write down vitamin D. I wouldn't write down ayahuasca. I'd write down curcumin, which is also going to be in the top of your most found supplements that help with all sorts of things. I'm going to type, okay, so vitamin D, curcumin, saffron is incredible. Saffron supplements. Now you can eat it, but it's very expensive. And those would probably be the top 3 that I would write down. In addition, flavonoids. So I'd write those down. In addition, I'd scroll down and I would give them examples of what not to take. Okay, so I would say, if your daughter A should take maybe motherwort is unreliable, not a lot of evidence. I might suggest not to, okay? Come on. I'm trying to, okay, here we go. 67, oh, sorry, there it is. 49 problem substances. So then I would go now and look at this first. This says Prozac. Now, most people that are on depression are on Prozac, so it's a correlation, not a causation. But look at this. Nope, none of them. Okay, I wouldn't even suggest any of these. Okay, therapeutic actions, maybe some actions. So in addition to taking a supplement or two, maybe she could exercise. Ooh, yoga is the number one exercise. Vagus nerve stimulation. Okay, what does that mean? What kind of device could I possibly get? Let's dig into some vagus nerve stimulators, right? Acupuncture is actually above a 20. Now you start getting below that. Mindfulness training is above a 20. Meditation is above a 20. Electroacupuncture, so that's electrical acupuncture, is above a 20. Ooh. So these are some actions. I might say, tell your daughter she should exercise more. Blood flow throughout the body and especially to the brain is very good for kicking depression's booty. I'd say yoga should be up there. And I'd say maybe look into some Vegas nerve stimulation. Not Vegas, Vegas, not Las Vegas like I live in, but Vegas, or Vagus, the Vegas nerve. Okay, very cool. I'm not the Las Vegas nerve. Now, if we kept scrolling, I might say, are there any problem actions that she could be doing? And the answer is no. The answer is no. Okay. So that is what, now if she wanted some articles, I'm going to scroll all the way to the top here. Let's see. Oh, there's no articles. Okay. Very cool. So that might be something. Now, if somebody came in and they said, hey, I'm having, vomiting issues. I don't know. Let's try vomiting. Now, vomiting is actually there. Let's see what vomiting pulls out. Now, again, right on the right-hand side is excellent. There's excellent ratings on depression. Now, again, big website. Now, vomiting has good. It's good, but there's really few things. So I would say, even though it says good, I'd say probably not. Okay. But what if we typed in emesis? EMESIS? Yeah, emesis. Emesis also stands for vomiting. Let's see if maybe there's more research done on the medical term. Nope, and there's not. So I lied. Let's look up, let's say cramping. Cramping, so cramping doesn't even come up. Let's type in, cramp is there. Muscle cramp. I'm thinking maybe cramp and spasm might be a difference. So let's type in muscle cramp and see what comes up. Okay, cramp is so you can't rely on this good, great, or excellent. I would look for how many articles are in there, how much evidence. So let's type in, instead of cramp, let's type in spasm. Antispasmodic, intestinal spasm. Let's type in antispasmodic. So what helps to calm spasms? Okay, antispasmodic. Okay, and here you go. Peppermint. Well, there's 30 studies. Lacking. Okay, so these are all bunk. But guess what? You type in common things, and again, I can run you through. Not all the answers are here, you guys, but it helps you from going down those rabbit holes of Google searches. When people say, "Well, I'm doing my research, Justin," and all they're doing is Googling, I'm thinking, probably not reliable. Now, this gets you on the right track. Maybe you need to do still a little bit of digging, read some of those articles, and the whatnot. Let's type in one more for fun. Let's say, what's something called? Let's type in MS, multiple sclerosis. MS, let's type in MS disease, and then let's try multiple sclerosis, because I'm guessing multiple sclerosis is going to have, so MS doesn't even come up with anything. Remember, multiple sclerosis disease. Boom. Let's see what happens there. MS is pretty common. There should be quite a bit of research. Beautiful, guys. Look at this. Excellent research. So again, what I'm getting from this, from the years, go with excellent. Try to find an excellent. Vitamin D is number one, guys. Oh my gosh, vitamin D. Are you crazy? And yet they say you should wear sunscreen all the time when you go outside. Now, cannabis is number two. Cannabis, cannabidiol, delta THC, cannabinoids. So the next four in line are all CBDs. Maybe I suggest, or CBDs, cannabis, THC-esque. Melatonin is an 11. It's trending, but EGCG is an 8. Okay, I'd go with vitamin D on that one. And if they're into trying cannabis, then again, maybe a suggestion. Maybe they need medical cannabis for their MS. Let's try cancer. Now, cancer overall is obviously. Oh, no, let's type in cholesterol. I like this. Cholesterol. Now, cholesterol high, cholesterol low, cholesterol LDL, HDL. I'm going to do cholesterol high. Um, Now, even better would be hypercholesterolemia. Oh, you can't type in all this. Hyper. Yeah, that's the medical term for it. Okay, hyper. Now, beautiful. Look at this. Okay, we've got wow, not beautiful, but it's excellent. But there's 224 studies. I like to see a lot of studies. 23. There's really only, I would say, 15 and above. Beta glucan, Faber oats. Now let's go to cholesterol and let's see if there's any more. Again, sometimes the medical research is done on the medical name and it's categorized differently, and sometimes it is done on the common name. See, and the common name doesn't have very much. It actually goes into, oh, this is actually cholesterol. What cholesterol does to the body? So it causes violence, cancer, lots and lots of things. Let's type in cholesterol one more time and go high cholesterol. How's that? Not cholesterol in general, but cholesterol high. Here we go. Beta glucan again, fiber oats. Beautiful. So those are the three things. Now, 10 problematic substances, statin drugs, obviously. Come on, everyone's on statins. Therapeutic actions, and there's really nothing, guys. So now this takes again. I'm gonna leave you with that. How to vet product like a pharmacist. Now, this 10-minute video that's now gone into 40 minutes, the person would come into the pharmacy, they'd ask me, I'd send them on their way, I'd find these answers in roughly a minute and a half, 2 minutes, I'd write them down, they'd come back 15 minutes later, sometimes they'd stare at me like, hey, can you help me? And I'd pretend like I was still researching, good 10, 15 minutes. They'd come, I'd say, oh, great, come here. I'd give them the answers, and I'd say, why don't you go look into those and come back and tell me what you think. Now, 90% of people that I give those answers to, they never come back. Some people that care enough, they'll come back and they'll say, wow, I loved it. I dug into some of these, I dug into some of these, and I realized that I really want to try, um, uh, I really want to try saffron for my daughter's depression. And I'd say, okay, great. And they'd say, yeah, where do I find a good saffron product? And I'd say, yeah, you got to watch out. Don't buy it on Amazon. Amazon sometimes has, they're not regulated. It's for the vitamin industry is very shady industry, can be very shady. But if you get it from a good supplier, so then I would say, wow, well, why don't you give me a few days? I will research. Now, I'll tell you in part 2 of this how to vet, how to step 2 will be how to take this research and go one step deeper, find the answers, the medical knowledge, medical research quickly, and then step 3 will be how to vet product. Step 2 and step 3 are kind of similar, so maybe video 2. So I'll try to do the next video in 10 minutes. I doubt it because I'm going to speak. But what I would do in the next 2 minutes after that patient left was I would look into the drug. I'd vet the product quickly. I'd write it down, and I would set it aside. So when they came in the next day, I'd be like, oh, yeah, yeah, let me go back and grab that research. I never wanted people to know that I knew the answers quickly because then it cheapened how fast I can find these answers. Does that make sense? Like, I don't want this to seem cheap. This took me years and years to find. Think like a pharmacist, vet like a pharmacist, and you won't even need me. And with that, guys, Proof Mode Health, go there, proofmodelabs.com. I've got all sorts of vitamins and supplements. Go to proofmodehealth.com. I've got an app coming out. I've got a book I'm releasing. Please read it. I'll drop all the hints soon. Love you guys. I'm going to cut this under 45 minutes and launch it tonight in order to complete my 1 video a day. Proof Mode Health. Thanks, guys.